I'm here with the boys
Yes.
from Annisokay to talk about the upcoming new record, Abyss, the final chapter, out November 21st on a Rising Empire. Man, this is my first time talking to you guys, and not the first time that I listened to the band because we've covered you guys on the channel a few times. And it's super cool to finally get a chance to chat with you, and especially with a record like this. I find this album to be very unique for a lot of reasons. The first reason is the one that I want to start this conversation with, which is it's impossible to talk about Abyss, the final chapter, without talking about Abyss Part 1 and Abyss Part 2. So, how did this whole concept get started? Because to me, this is not something that happens overnight. To me, there has to be some planning that went into creating these two parts and then bringing them all together under one final chapter, under one final roof. So, how was it from your perspective?
Yeah. It's interesting that you asked this because it's been a long ride, and some of this was planned ahead, but not everything. Some stuff just happened along the way, kind of. So yeah, when we started on the first EP many years ago, I don't even know when we started writing for it. I think 2019 or something, or 2020, and yeah, we had an album in mind. We wrote songs for the next album, basically. And as we wrote songs, it all took a while because the COVID crisis was going on and everything was slowed down and the motivation level was basically on zero. So we had some cool songs, but not every song was cool. So, or say it another way, I mean, for an album, you need some kind of quality level for all the songs on this record, and it wasn't there yet. We didn't feel confident enough to release this as an album, but we wanted to release something. So we just picked the best 5 or 6 songs, and yeah, and thought let's make an EP out of this, and then yeah, call it part one, and then we have a part two coming up later. And this was the idea we had in mind for this whole EP circle, and the idea to put it together to an album was coming later when people were asking for it. Basically, that people wanted to have a CD, they want to have a full album thing. That and also the label was asking for it. But I mean, we thought, yeah, just putting EP1 and EP2 together and call it an album would be a bit like disappointing and boring. And that's when we decided to like write some new songs and make it even like make it special again and fresh. And we didn't want these songs to be just bonus tracks to this. We just actually wanted to have like real new singles that represent our current status of creativity. And that's what we did. When we wrote 3 songs, 2 of them already were released as a single, and the last one is basically coming with the album, which is obviously for some people, they think, yeah, it's just one new song for an album with 15 songs, which is a bit crazy. But if you think about the whole journey of this, it just made sense. And it's also, of course, one reason that we did it this way is also, of course, the just a new way of releasing music, which is mostly due with streaming. And for streaming, you need singles because singles are in the playlist, and you know how this all works. I think every band already told you about this story. And so, yeah, this was a combination of this, of course, as well. But I think in the end, what we really wanted to have is an album that uh, it goes full circle and it's the whole product and then doesn't feel like scattered pieces, that don't make sense in the whole thing. And I think that came out pretty cool. And there are some stuff like the artwork when you put it together that it forms one with the 2 halves, which is pretty cool. And also musical wise, we have the intro, the Into the Abyss intro, and then on the last song is the Inner Sanctum, which are connected with the lyrics and the melodies. And yeah, so these kind of little things make me happy in the end now, and I think the other guys as well, that they worked out. Yeah, so that's basically the story.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool listening to it because even though the EPs, I mean, if you think about it, this record has three pieces. EP1, EP2, and then the three new songs right squeezed in between. So when I was listening to it, the interesting aspect for me, and if I didn't know about the EPs, I wouldn't be able to tell. There's a sense of cohesiveness throughout the record that it's really interesting. That really shocked me and surprised me because I thought I was going to be able to really feel the breaks in between all the three pieces, and it would feel more like a jigsaw puzzle and less like a record. But the album flows really well. Did that surprise you guys, the final product, as much as it surprised me?
Yeah,
Um,
I think you can do this on purpose. It's like it has to happen like this, and I think it's a little bit of luck, but also a little bit of like writing skill improving. So I think also if you compare these two EPs to older Annisokay albums, which were always LPs, I think there's a huge step in my opinion because we play almost all of the songs live, which is crazy. If you think of an album back in the day, maybe we played 4 songs live. And now we struggle to put older songs in our set list because people want to hear all the new songs. And this is crazy because most of the bands have the issue that they only are allowed to play the old stuff by their fan base. And this time it's the other way around, which is crazy to me. So yeah, me too. In my opinion, I'm also really shocked that this works so well, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah, it's funny that you're saying this. I mean, like Peter said, you can't really plan this ahead because you have like when you start writing an album, it feels like such a big amount of work, and it's like this huge mountain that you have to climb, and you can have like a rough idea of where to go, but what happens in the end, and like what you made when you finally arrive at the summit, you can't look ahead everything. And so we're kind of lucky that it came together like this. But I think one reason is also that every song on this basically is a single, and it's nothing that uh, bands usually do when they write an album because, yeah, you know how it goes. There's some interludes and some like B-roll songs kind of in every album, which also make the album really special in itself because usually there are some songs that like the artist went a bit above their like or out of their comfort zone, like doing something that they wouldn't do on a single, for example. That's something cool as well for when you write an album. But in this case, we didn't do this. We, we just wrote singles basically. And we always thought about the limits of what we can do with this genre. But I mean, we still have a variety of style in this, I think. There are some soft songs, there's some like electronic songs, there's some heavy ones, there are dark ones and more positive ones. And uh at some point when you release a single that's like, for example, the last one we released, Splinters, when there's basically just one screamed line. Everyone is commenting, why do they even have a screamer in the band? And yeah, I mean, we obviously have all the other songs where he does a lot of stuff, and but we want to have this variety and not write the same song all over again. And when you release these as singles, some people think, what's going on now? But that's how it goes.
You have to
Yeah,
look at
but now I'm drifting.
yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
I'm
look at the
drifting
big
away a
picture.
bit.
You said something that I thought was really interesting in the beginning of our chat. You said that the three new songs, you don't want them to be bonus tracks on this record. Is that the reason why you guys slotted those three songs in the middle, squeezed in between the two EPs? Or do you thought, okay, this way they're not going to feel like bonus tracks, but we can make these songs kind of bridge the gap between the
Mhm.
first release and the second release? Was that a combination of those two things?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
you pretty
both.
much nailed it there. Yeah, we also had the advantage of having 12 tracks, and then you know what's missing, like what could we add to these 12 tracks that make this even more dynamic, even more interesting. And yeah, and we noticed, for example, when we played so many of these songs, my dog is like he just wants to jump on my lap the whole time. So I have to go. Yeah, Nathan, say hello. Oh no, he doesn't. He
I
doesn't
love the
understand what's going on.
sweater. The sweater
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. It's cold here. So, and he's a Italian Greyhound, so he needs something to put on. Um, yeah, but like for these new songs, we thought when we played them live, or when we played the Abyss songs live, we noticed there's a song missing, for example, that goes really full power and really fast pace, where people can do circle pits and everything. And that's when we thought let's write a song like this, and that's when my effigy was created. So we that's exactly like you said, we had this possibility to write songs that build kind of a bridge and connect everything together even more. And yeah,
We
this was the
we
idea.
also thought, yeah, we also thought that the beginning and the ending of part one and part two are like really perfect because they combine the same harmonies and melodies. And why should we destroy this perfect cycle, in my opinion? So we thought maybe put them in between to bridge it, as you already explained. And I think it works perfectly fine. And also, it's very special to have the chance to play your release live and then add something because you can't do this on a normal album. So we used all of these special opportunities to make something that we never had the chance before. Yeah.
Mhm.
This release shows so much growth from you guys in terms of the songs, the way you guys approach releasing the full record. The artwork is phenomenal, by the way. I thought the artwork was absolutely beautiful for the album. In a genre that a lot of people feel that there are limits to what you can do and to how far a band can take that genre. Do you guys feel that your band is limited by the genre that you're currently in, or do you feel like there is absolutely zero limits to the creativity and you have the right fan base that allows you to have no limits to what you can release and to what you can do?
Yeah, I think we are lucky that we're in this genre and we're able to do all of this because I think what makes metalcore so interesting is that there's basically no rules to what you mix with metal. And some people hate it, especially the ones that like the true metal. And I totally respect that and I understand their opinion. But for me, metal is more about just stick to like old rules, I would say. And I love mixing genres, especially because I love creating electronic sounds in the studio and like I also love pop music and but I also love like really heavy stuff and combining this just makes it interesting for me. It makes it exciting and like you don't know what comes next, you know. And when I listen to some other metal albums, after three or four songs, like there's nothing new coming. And this is something that we really want to avoid at all costs, I think. So I think metalcore is the best genre for this. So also when people ask me that like people that don't listen to this kind of music, then they ask me what is metalcore? I don't even know how to explain it because it's just metal with other genres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it changed in the past years, I think. I mean, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, metalcore was really all about this crazy riffing and screaming combined with clean vocals, and every song was basically with the same recipe. And nowadays we have bands like Bad Omens doing like full pop production, which is sounding insane, and no one's complaining. Imagine doing this with a hardcore band. Imagine putting a drum and bass part in a hardcore song. You would be canceled next day. So I think metalcore is kind of open in this way, in this regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys say that because I come from the old school, the true metal old school because of my age, obviously. And a couple of like many years ago, I was listening to a band called Siamese from Denmark, and they also bring in a lot of like pop elements and electronic elements, EDM elements into their sound. And I was like, part of me wanted to hate it. I was like, this is garbage. But part of me was like, fuck, this is really good. Like, I'm having a really good time listening to it. And I think listening to this album by you guys, this final chapter, the moment you take away those restrictions that you put upon yourself, because nobody else is putting them upon you, it's really you that creates your own restrictions. The moment you push that out of the way and you press play on this from the intro all the way down to the last song, man, it's such a fun album to listen to. I don't think you can be in a bad mood at the end of listening to these 15 songs. You go through a roller coaster ride of emotions, that is for sure. But it's impossible to have a bad time. And I can only imagine how well does that translate live. Is this a record that is made to be played live from your standpoint?
I mean, like Peter said in the beginning, we play like nearly all of the songs live at the moment. We're on tour, and we already rehearsed a new one that's coming out on Friday. To be able to play it on the next leg of the tour, and um, people love it. It's a lot of fun to play new stuff because some bands are kind of doomed to like play really old songs every night for many years because just they have maybe one hit record like 10 or 15 years ago, and then still have to play the same songs, which is also cool, of course, because then it was a really big album. But I think playing fresh songs with every tour is really cool and it's really exciting. And I mean, like
I
it's
think that's the
it's
only downside if you're a big band from the 90s. I watched an interview from Under Oath and they were like, people are like, yeah, new stuff is nice, but just play the old stuff. And I think in in this regard, it's bad to be Under Oath, even if they are like legends. But if you were too big back in the day, then it's hard for people to adjust and to tolerate your new style. And also people are really quick with, yeah, they just do it for the money and they are sellouts and stuff, but they always forget that artists evolve, especially Christoph, who's working in the studio like 24/7. He's writing songs for Annisokay for different bands. And so your style and your skill evolves so fast. And at some point, you notice less is more sometimes, and less in music sometimes sounds like more poppy or more sellout. But it's not the case. It's like taste. And I think bands are allowed to change their taste and their style. And so once again, I'm really happy that metalcore is not that hard on their artists like other genres might be. Yeah.
yeah, but you drifted away a bit from the live question because what I think
Oh,
is
sorry.
interesting is no worries, that's still interesting. But what I find like funny sometimes is when we try to judge if a song is working live or not, and there are some factors that you like look at, and that's obviously the crowd reaction. And if you have songs that are really heavy and it go like really fast paced and people go crazy and do crowd surfing, wall of death, everything, then you think, yeah, this is obviously the best song for live. And then you play these more emotional, sad songs that are not so heavy and that are a bit slower and people just enjoy listening to it, then we think, oh, this song didn't work so well tonight. But that's not the case because people just also just love to just listen and look at it and don't go crazy while we play the song. So sometimes it's not so easy to judge what kinds of songs work better than others because it's hard to tell from the stage point of view. Um, yeah, but from the feedback, as far as we can tell, it's pretty good. Like this tour is, people are happy.
Like I
Yeah.
said, it's hard not to be when you're when you're listening to it. The album sounds great, which takes me to the production side of things. Do you guys do your own production on the record? Because I thought throughout the album the production was outstanding, really outstanding. You're able to create such a cohesive sound experience, but at the same time, you're giving all the different elements their own space to kind of breed within the songs. So it gives the songs a lot more texture. It makes the tracks a lot richer sound-wise. Is this all of you guys doing?
Um, yeah, it's makes me happy you say that. It's mostly my work in this regard because, like Peter said, I'm a full-time producer and I produce other bands here in my studio. And it was always like from the first album we released. or even the first demos we did in like I don't even know when 20 years ago. Um, I did this all myself, and I mean, I have to. There's one little thing I have to say. Of course, I'm not all on my own on this anymore. Um, but like when it comes to mixing, for example, I still do it on my own. I do the mastering, I do the most of the production, and like creating all these synth elements and like guitar tones, drum recordings. We record drums for every album because I think it's just cool. And yeah, but I have one or two guys that I have two guys. I have Julian Breuker and mainly Benjamin Richter. These are two really good friends, producer friends of mine that I worked on a lot of like on many songs, especially with Benjamin since 2018. So since the Arms record, I started working with him, and the reason was when I produce my own stuff, or it's basically I think it counts for every producer. If you produce your own music, it's in my opinion not possible to go 100% into the role of the producer because the full purpose of a producer is to have someone look at your song from the outside, and because when you write a song you're emotionally connected with this from the beginning, and it's sometimes not possible to judge everything like with a clear mind anymore after you work on it for such a long time. So then you have this producer who comes into the room, listens to the song or the demo for the first time, and he's like, "Yeah, this is great, but like think about that part a bit longer, or let's change this and let's try this." And then yeah, like your mind gets refreshed and you're like, "Ah, yeah, I didn't come up with this yet." And so that's where I started to notice that this really helps. And also, even if the other guys don't change anything, if the producer doesn't change something, it helps you progress because then you're kind of confident to say the song is finished. Because what many people struggle is saying a song is finished because they maybe think, ah, it's not good enough. I have to work on this even more, and then it never gets released, and it's a pretty sad thing, I guess, sometimes. So yeah, that's the whole story.
So let me ask you guys this question to finish off our chat. You guys are going to head back on tour. You guys have been touring a lot. Um, what's the next step for you guys tour-wise? I know touring in North America. I'm in Canada, so touring here is quite expensive and problematic from that standpoint. But do you guys have goals and aspirations of going beyond Europe, coming to North America, maybe Canada? Where does it sit with you right now?
No, not really. Just don't. No, we would love to come over. It's just it was just a joke. We have some stuff to figure out with visa because it takes a lot of time to go there because it's like a working visa. And if you have the visa, it all needs to be planned wisely because you have this time frame which is really expensive. And yeah, we are thinking about stuff like this. We have no concrete, no, not concrete, no like uh help me out. No, like
No plans
uh,
like set in
yeah,
stone yet. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's only one factor Peter's mentioning is the costs, but also you need a booking agent there
yeah,
who's really into it and who believes in you. And yeah, I mean we're talking to people and we would just love to come, but it's complex. And the thing is um, when when you as a European when you as a European band when you go to the US, you have to find the perfect moment because if you're too early, then no one's coming, and then no one's going to book you there ever again. Even I mean, obviously, when you're a really big band, then they would say, "Yeah, okay, let's try again." But it's then the second time is way harder, or you like just wait too long, maybe, and then it never is gonna happen. And for us, I feel like both of this kind of counts because we've been to the US in 2018. Our friends from I Set My Friends on Fire invited us, but it was for us too early because we didn't have that much of a fan base over there back then. And now I think would be a perfect moment because I think 50% of our Spotify listeners, for example, are American, which is great as a German band. And yeah, so we would love to come. And it's just we have to put together some puzzle pieces and hope it's gonna work out really soon.
I hope so too, because the metalcore scene in Germany is excellent. The amount of quality bands coming out of Germany at this point in time, it's outstanding. I don't think there's any other country in the world that's putting out this more modern metal sound as well as you guys are doing. And you guys are definitely one of those bands in that forefront, amongst many others. So it would be super nice to see you guys in North America at some point in time. If not, I have to wait until one of my many trips to Europe to maybe catch one of your shows. I would love to do that. Guys, thank you very much for the time today. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to both of you about this record. Well done. Well done in putting this together. Enjoy your tour, have a lot of fun, and maybe take some pictures of your dog while you're away so that you don't miss him too much.
Yeah, that's the hard part. The hardest part for me of touring, actually. Yeah, but thank you. I really appreciate the kind words and hope to see you someday.
Take care, guys. All the best.
Which
Yeah,
city do we need
take
to
care.
cover for you to come to the show?
Yeah, I'm telling you, if I'm in town and you guys are playing, I'm definitely going to reach out to you guys because I definitely want to come to a show.
I
Uh,
mean, what town are you living in, or what's the closest that shows happen in your area?
Oh, I live in Toronto, so trust me, every show happens here.
Okay, yeah.
If there's a North American tour, there's a stop here. Future Palace was here not that long ago. They played a show in Toronto. Obviously, Electric Callboy, those guys are massive these days, so they're coming back to
Yeah.
Canada. They're playing in Toronto as well around my birthday in March or April or something like that. So definitely, if you guys are doing a North American tour, there's definitely going to be a Toronto stop. That is for sure. It's one of the big markets in North America, so. I would be thrilled to see you guys here.
Nice. Yeah, we'll
Same.
do our best.
I'll do my
Okay,
best in promoting the band over here so that you guys get more Spotify listeners, and that way there's more of a reason for you guys to tour and bring your sound over here and play some shows for us.
awesome. Nice. Thank you so much.